Hey everyone, my name is Drew Bonner. I'm a euphonium player and composer, and today I'm going to help you be band ready by practicing some ear training. Ear training is super important when it comes to playing any pitched instrument. It helps you hear the note in your head before you play it on your instrument. Or, as a wise old music teacher once said, if you can sing it, you can play it. We're going to focus on the 12 basic intervals, and I'll give you some reference points to help you out along the way. Also, make sure you take notes, because there's going to be a quiz at the end. Okay, first up, we have the minor second. You might recognize this as the theme from Jaws, the famous. This is one of the easier intervals to identify. It's just a half step away. Minor second. Next up is the major second. This one's a little bit farther away than the minor second. And you might recognize this as the first two notes of Happy Birthday. They rock back and forth. Major second. Next up is the minor third. This one's a little bit farther away, and it kind of has that sad sound to it. You might recognize this as the tune Greensleeves. So the first two notes are a minor third. Next up, the major third. This one's also pretty recognizable. I usually think of When the Saints. So those first two notes, major third. Next up is the perfect fourth. The song I typically think of when it comes to a perfect fourth is the theme from Harry Potter. Those first two notes, perfect fourth. Next up is the tritone, and this one is interesting because it's exactly halfway between an octave. There's an octave, there's a tritone. It's not the most pleasing sound in the world, but if you resolve it, you get a famous cartoon theme song. So that's the theme from The Simpsons, and that's almost always how I remember the tritone. Next up is the perfect fifth. And we have another movie score to help us out with this one. So those first two notes are a perfect fifth. Next up is the minor sixth, and this one's a little tricky. But there's one really easy example that I can always remember, and that's The Entertainer. So after that the big jump here is a minor sixth. Next up is the major sixth, and this one is also kind of tricky. I usually think of the old folk song, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, for this one. So that first interval is a major sixth. Coming up on the last few intervals here, we have the minor seventh. There's basically only one prominent use of the minor seventh, and that's from Somewhere from West Side Story. So that first interval is a great minor seventh. Second to last here, only two more to go, we have the major seventh. One of the best known examples of this is in the 80s classic Take On Me in the chorus. It's a super wide interval that doesn't really show up a lot of other places. So I always use Take On Me to help out with that. And last but not least, the octave. Pretty easy to hear. It's just the same note, up higher 1 octave. I always think of Somewhere Over the Rainbow for this. Alright, now we've gone through all the intervals. Now it's quiz time. I'll play 2 notes and you tell me what interval they are. Can you guess? Do you know? 3, 2, 1. It's a minor second, right. Next up. Any guesses? 3, 2, 1. That's a major third. We'll do 2 more. Next up. Any guesses? 3, 2, 1. That's a tritone. An augmented fourth or a diminished fifth. And we'll do 1 more. Any guesses? 3, 2, 1. That's a perfect fifth. So I hope this helps you learn a little bit more about interval relationships. It's one of my favorite topics, and it's going to help you become a great improviser as well as figure out tunes by ear. Again, my name is Drew Bonner. I hope you learned a little something from this. And if you want to follow me, my YouTube channel is at Drew Bonner Music. You could also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Drew Bonner Music. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you around the internet. Stay safe, everyone.